Welcome back to our beginner guide. Enjoy. So continue to walk around, see if you can find any more bone shards, which we can. Seems like we're finding quite a bit. I'm looking for a max of maybe 10 or so hound's teeth. That's kind of what we're looking for, is 10. If it takes you a little bit longer to find them, that's okay. And if you don't get that much, that's okay too. It's not like you absolutely need it. Just kind of for the sake of getting you prepared for what's about to come. I think that it's a good investment to have. Now, it is obviously springtime, but what is coming up next? It's summertime. So I always like to say, in the world of Don't Starve, always get yourself ready for the next year. If you're so worried that, okay, I'm focused on one season and one season only. For example, if we were in autumn and we only focused on autumn alone, well, we would get to wintertime and not have enough stuff prepared. So we always want to keep in our back of our mind summertime. What I usually recommend is don't worry about the next season until mid of this season specifically. So for what I mean by that is, the first of spring, don't be focusing on, oh no, it's summertime coming up. That doesn't mean forget about it, but it just means that, keep everything nice and simple for yourself by only worrying about, the season that you're in up until maybe halfway through. That'll give you more than enough time, unless you're kind of procrastinating and worrying about things at the last second. So unfortunately, I think that's most of the bones that we're going to find around here. We might find a few stragglers. I'm going to go into a different area to try to find some more bones. There we go. Here we go. Now, the ones that are here, you usually have a guarantee of getting usually a bone and a houndstooth, but like I said, it's not always guaranteed, but it just depends on what you're smashing up. So that's about it. I don't want to get too close to the D-flies. So let's go over to the oasis. And once again, if you look on your map and you see the ice that's there, you might as well grab it. But you see in your inventory, it's starting to. There we go. There's the frog rain. See, as I just mentioned, this is exactly why we're here to prepare for it. So let's get the heck out of here as fast as we can. We don't want to talk to any frogs. We don't want to approach any frogs. Now, if you find yourself encumbered by a lot of frogs and they're around you and they're chasing you and they will not leave you alone, the first thing you want to do is you want to take a stack of something that is a stack, maybe over 30 or something, and put it in your very first inventory spot. Why am I doing this? Because when you get licked by a frog, the frogs will take whatever's in your first inventory spot and toss it on the ground, making it so eventually, if you get hit continuously, well, you're going to lose most of your inventory. So we're going to run actually home. I'm not going to go through the process of showing you what happens when frogs attack you just yet, because I want to prepare before we do that. For the sake of the video, though, hopefully I can find a few frogs that will want to attack me, and I'm sure we can. And eventually we'll show you what can happen. But I'm going to stay in the oasis as frogs continue to fall from the sky. Don't worry. I mean, you can pretty much outrun the frogs as long as you're fast enough. I'm just more so worried, what are we going to do when frogs begin to fall at our base? And that's kind of what we're getting at here is, how is that going to play out? That's why you always want to make sure you're prepared. And as you can see, plenty of frogs are falling. Now, of course, we have Abigail on our side. Could we use Abigail to counter all the frogs? Yes, we could. Should we? No. Because unfortunately, Abigail, yes, is a strong character, but against frogs, Abigail will not suffice, unfortunately. She might get most of the frogs killed, but at the end of the day, the frogs will once again stun lock. That's what they do with their tongue. They stun lock, and then that forces them to basically kill Abigail quite quickly. Now, another thing you want to do is basically try to avoid frogs as much as you can. The closer vicinity that you get to the frogs, the higher chance that these frogs are going to try to attack you. Unfortunately, we're not getting very good luck with the amount of hound's teeth that we're getting. Do we have to go further, possibly into the oasis? Maybe. It's worth the adventure. So we're preparing ourselves. We got our umbrella. If you're walking around with an umbrella on your hand, if you have the umbrella on your head, you're doing great. But remember, always try to avoid the frogs until you're prepared, because you don't want to be unprepared for this, because it's going to get messy very quickly. Once I smash up this last thing, I think it's time for us to go back. I don't really want to venture around too much more and get killed, because at that point it's gonna be a costly thing to happen. And I mean, if you already have died and Don't Starve together, it's okay. It doesn't mean that it's the end of the game or the end of the world. You can always find yourself a touchstone around the map, or you can revive from the portal if you're in an endless world. And always remember that in Don't Starve together, I always find that people always worry, am I not good enough for this game? When it comes to Don't Starve, you really just got to play. Like, I can tell you right now, I don't think I could even count Like, I mean, I don't even think I can count the amount of times that I've died in this game. I mean, if I had a counter for it, it's probably well over 1,000 or 2,000 times. Like, I mean, it's basically, these are one of these games that you learn more by dying, and it sounds like an odd thing, but, you know, I think a lot of times you watch people play that, you know, might be not struggling whatsoever in the game, and you're like, man, I wish I could play just as good as them. But I can assure you that the more you play this game, the better you get. So let's go back to our base. We're going to drop a few things off. We got some meat that's about to spoil, which unfortunately is inevitable. Of course, we got a little present in the top left corner. If you've ever got this indicator and you're like, what is this? I'm so confused. Well, it's pretty straightforward. It says it requires more science, and that means that it's an in-game drop that you get for playing Don't Starve Together, which is awesome if you think about it. What, I just get a free item that for playing? I know, it's insane, right? I mean, I don't really know any other game that does this so often, where you basically get something for free for playing. So when we get back, we'll make sure that we check that out, and then we're going to get right into learning about making some tooth traps. If you've caught up so far to the videos and you're enjoying them, like I said, don't forget to follow me on All Fun and Games Twitch TV as well too, and feel free to ask me anything. I'm going to make sure to put the Discord links inside of my YouTube tutorials and stuff like that as well too. Or sorry, my my Discord links in the YouTube tutorials, and then that way you're able to jump in and talk along with us if you have any questions while I'm not even streaming or not even doing any tutorials. And I'm sorry for the long wait for the tutorials as well too, but it's, you know, it takes a lot of time between me finding some spare time in between streaming, which I do every single day, and I still work as well too. So I try to make these as often as I can because I know that a lot of people really enjoy to follow along. So we're back at our base, and we got frogs still falling from the sky. We're going to check our present just because why not? Unfortunately, it says, I can't open presents with monsters about. That means there's frogs around falling from the skies, so it's not going to let your character open them up, which is exactly fine because we want the game to tell us when it's safe or when it's not safe. Let's put some stuff away. Let's get our pierogies on the ready. Let's get ourselves some quick little stuff here. Make some meatballs real fast, because these things are about to spoil. Now, if you want these to obviously not spoil, you can quickly cook them up. But for the sake of the video, I don't have too much time right now because these frogs are not looking very happy. So as you can tell, frogs are chasing after you. Some frogs are not even moving. Why is that? Because at nighttime, frogs sleep just like us. We got hounds chasing us as well too. So things are starting to get a little bit spicy. Just as we were started to ask for hound traps, for hound traps, the hounds must have heard because they decided to attack us at this moment. Just for the sake of the video, I'm going to turn on my Fling-O-Matic. You don't have to do this, but I always worry that sometimes you can get unlucky and get a fire hound, which can then set your base on fire. If you want to run around like I'm going to do until morning time, feel free to do so. Sometimes that's easier to fight, but if you don't want to do that and you want to get your log suit or your helmet if you're around a fire pit, feel free to do so. And as you can see, the frogs also hate hounds too. So the frogs are actually taking care of the hounds for us. Make sure that you don't starve. With that, I'm going to quickly grab a meatball. And this is why I'm saying, chat, this is exactly why it gets very, very difficult when you have a bunch of frogs chasing you down for this specific reason. All right, unfortunately, we don't have time to make hound traps. We have the teeth. We have some leftover teeth, but we're going to make something different just for the sake of making sure it's, you know, we might have a little bit, but I don't know if I have enough time to place them down just yet. So I'm going to put these away. I'm going to put all my bones away, and we're going to go back to making what we made before, which are some traps, just regular traps, because we're in an emergency situation where we have to do it like this. I know it's not going to be a big enough amount of traps that we're going to get, but why not? We're here now. We're actually extremely low on grass as well too. So hopefully you managed to get yourself a pile of grass. Unfortunately, I kind of forgot to do that. So here we go. Abigail's attacking, and you can watch as Abigail tries her hardest to fight. But unfortunately, Abigail, I don't think is going to make this one. And if she does, I mean, I'd be pretty surprised. And see, that's why Abigail unfortunately does not do too well against frogs. So as you get ready, set up your traps before you start to freeze, because you're going to notice your rain meter is going to go up and up and up. And if you're not actually experiencing frog rain right now, well, you can just watch as the chaos happens, because, you know, for some of us that are experiencing frog rain right now, it's not going to be easy to get out of this. But, you know, it'll be a learning lesson that you need to have. Oops, don't want to drop that on the ground. And now, if you're wondering what I'm doing and how am I dropping things so quickly, well, Clay added a new feature where if you hold shift over an item and you right click, you can actually drop the item out of your inventory. There used to be a mod called quick drop mod. Now that's no longer even needed because Clay has obviously, you know, thought hard about, what do people need in this game? Well, they need a little bit of quality of life stuff. And it's very nice that they did that because now we don't even have to hold this over there to drop it on the ground, although you can still do that if you prefer. And look at how easy it is to quickly drop stuff and pick up the frogs. Now, of course, using traps like this, you know, that's one way because we've already accustomed to it. We know that they last a while. We're used to how they work. But unfortunately, that's not what we want to do. So let's pick up the rest of our hound's teeth now that we've cleared out an area of the frogs. And, you know, you can see that frogs are still... Abigail's still in an angry mood, so she's trying to kill as many frogs as she can. But she's back down to 150 HP. So she might be okay to attack most of the frogs. So that'll clear out them so we can actually have a few moments to get down to what we want to do. So now let's check our presence that we have a few times. Now you can actually check your presence with frogs around you, but with the hounds chasing you, you can't. And look at that, a nice suspension shirt. Thank you, Clay. I appreciate that. All right, so we're going to get down to making what we've decided to make. We already have our umbrella, which should hopefully be keeping you dry. If you're not using it, like me, make sure that you take it out, you put it in your hand, and stand right next to a fire. If you walk around, will it go down as well too? Yes, but if you have a helmet, as you can see, this football helmet stops most of the rain as well too. So it actually helps your meter go down. So make sure that you have a football helmet on while you stand next to a fire. Otherwise, it basically will just kind of, you know, flatline the rain. So this actually gives you, I believe it's 10 or 20%. I'm not exactly sure the exact numbers on it, but it actually blocks most of the wetness coming down. So if you hold onto an umbrella, you're fine. Of course, if you have an umbrella though, this is your best way of removing the rain, and which I'm going to be using because, you know, we went through the hassle of killing the deer clops just for it, so why not, right? Okay, so we got our grass. We have more grass, we have a lot of twigs, and that's why we always keep all these awesome things aside. And let's make what we've been wanting to. So we're gonna go under the... I haven't made hound traps in so long, it's like, I gotta go through and try to find them again. I think it's under fight, I wanna say. Yeah, there they are, tooth traps. Okay, so with two hound's teeth, or sorry, with one hound's teeth per, which I think we actually left most of them in the... Do we leave them in here? Let's see. I gotta find out exactly where I left them. I'm used to another mod called the Insight mod, which actually shows you what's inside of the chest and stuff by highlighting. Another awesome mod that I would highly recommend. But like I said, I don't want to confuse you guys too much by pointing out all these cool mods that I like to use. Okay, so let's make ourselves one rope. Get yourselves the rope. And once again, go under the fighting tab, and it's gonna tell you what else you need. Okay, what else do we need? We need a log, which we have. And we need to have one hound's teeth, and we can make 13 of these. So we have 12 logs, thankfully, and let's go ahead and make, let's just start out by making 2, because I mean, I don't have that much inventory spots, so let's just make, and of course, once you make 1, you can make more anyways. Let's see if I have any extra logs set aside. I do. Let's fill up our logs, and let's make a few more, because we're gonna make a little area. This is gonna be known as our fighting arena area. Once you make quite a few of these, let's go over to, let's say, a little bit further up. What I usually suggest doing is with that leftover fire pit that hopefully you left made in your inventory. If you didn't, you can always make one. And let's put it over here. Now, why do we want to have a fighting area? Well, because as I mentioned before with the deer clops, which hopefully you did, is you actually have an area dedicated to fighting stuff that's far away from your base. So let's make more of the hound's teeth, and if they fall on the ground, it's okay. It's not a huge problem. And here we go. We have quite a few hound's teeth. Now these can be close to the fire, they can be further away. I usually suggest putting them a tad bit close. And we're gonna start putting tooth traps down. These are awesome little tools for getting rid of pesky things in the world of Don't Starve. And there we go. We've already went through the process of showing you how to get them. But we still even have 7 more hound's teeth. If you only have 1 or 2, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that you actually went through the process of fighting off hounds, going in the oasis, going in the desert, and getting more. Let's hurry up and let's make a few more of these things. And there you go, chat. So we're actually on day 41 now. So we're getting kind of close to the middle where we're going to have to start focusing on what to do when summertime hits. But that doesn't mean that we got to focus on it just yet, because we still have a lot of springtime left. The rain has just started. It's just started to kind of pester us enough to the point where, is it going to get tough to survive without an umbrella, for example, for fighting? And that's another thing I'm going to show you in the next upcoming video is how are we going to fight when our rain meter is so high? Well, that's going to be something that we're going to be figuring out when the time comes. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the tutorial, and I will see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to check us out on All Funny Games on TV, on Twitch TV, and make sure that, like I said, if you want to join our Discord, feel free to join there as well too. I appreciate all the comments, all the people that have left some awesome reviews. It's always nice to know that what we're doing here is very helpful, and I hope that you guys learn something. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me, and I will do my best to answer as much as I can. But I will see you guys in just the next episode.